G'day guys, the Aussie Share Trader is back. Today I'm going to talk about bias, and in particular I'm going to talk about cognitive dissonance. Now, as humans, we are all prone to bias. We have our own values, beliefs and ideas, and then we stick to them. So we close our mind. And what I'm going to talk about today is doing the opposite of that. It's keeping an open mind and always be willing to have your ideas and your values and your beliefs challenged. Okay, so we're going to start by listening to a bit of a speech from Charlie Munger. Now, Charlie Munger is the business partner of Warren Buffett. Some would say the brains behind the outfit. I would more think that they complement each other. In this speech, he's talking to a group of university students, I think it was back in the early 90s, about bias. And there's all different types of bias that can affect your trading, but in particular we're going to listen to what he says about cognitive dissonance. So listen to that, goes for about a minute, then we'll come back and discuss it some more.
Bias from consistency and commitment tendency, including the tendency to avoid or promptly resolve cognitive dissonance, includes the self-confirmation tendency of all conclusions, particularly expressed conclusions, and with a special persistence for conclusions that are hard-won. But what I'm saying here is that the human mind is a lot like the human egg, and the human egg has a shut-off device. When one sperm gets in, it shuts down so the next one can't get in. The human mind has a big tendency of the same sort. And here again, it doesn't just catch ordinary mortals, it catches the deans of physics. According to Max Planck, the really innovative, important new physics was never really accepted by the old guard. Instead, a new guard came along that was less brain-blocked by its previous conclusions. And if Max Planck's crowd had this consistency and commitment tendency that kept their old conclusions intact in spite of disconfirming evidence, you can imagine what the crowd that you and I are part of behaves like. And of course, if you make a public disclosure of your conclusion, you're pounding it in to your own head. Many of these students that are screaming at us, they aren't convincing us, but they're forming mental chains for themselves, because what they're shouting out, they're pounding in.
So Charlie uses some fairly big words there. But what he's talking about is how the human mind, once it develops a belief, shuts off and will no longer listen to disconfirming evidence. And that is because the human mind cannot handle what they call cognitive dissonance. That is where two contrary beliefs or values try and live in the same brain, and it just doesn't work. So what we do as humans, we only look for confirming evidence. So let's take, for example, I know Bitcoin is the thing of the moment, so let's talk about that. There's a great divide between people who believe in Bitcoin and people who don't. Now, if I put up a video today saying Bitcoin was going to go to $1 million, I might get a lot of viewers, but they would be the ones who are looking for confirming evidence. So all the people who liked that video already believed what I said. I didn't convince anybody. And a few people might watch it and dislike it, but they already didn't believe what I said. And vice versa. I could do a video to say that Bitcoin is in a bubble and it's going to go back to $2. And I would get a lot of likes from people who already agree with me, and I'd get a lot of dislikes from people who don't agree with me. I wouldn't be convincing anyone, or very few people. The vast majority of people don't have an open mind. Now, as traders, you can't be like that. You really have to keep an open mind and always be willing to have your values and your ideas and your beliefs challenged. And whenever a challenge comes along, you stand back and you look at it objectively. Now, it doesn't mean you have to change your belief. Perhaps the challenge doesn't come with enough evidence for you to change your belief. Or perhaps the intent of the person challenging you is, you can see into it and realize that their intent is not honorable. You see, when I was trading as a youngster, I lost a lot of money in the internet boom because I assumed that the internet boom was going to go on forever. And I wouldn't accept any evidence to the contrary, because that's all I knew. And it happens with booms all the time. So my advice to you today, be certain of very little. don't be sure of too much in life, because if you develop these beliefs that can't be changed, and you hear about old people who are set in their ways and they can't be told any different, and that's fine, but if you want to be a good trader, you can't have that mindset. It has to remain open all the time, and if it ever closes, then you got to give this game away. Okay, so I hope that made a bit of sense. Just be aware of it. Look up on Google it and understand more about biases. And there's lots of different biases. That actual speech by Charlie Munger I played a bit of. Get on the YouTube and watch the whole thing. It is a little bit tedious in places, but overall you may have to listen to it 3 or 4 times to sort of really get a grasp of it. But this type of stuff is what will improve your trading massively. Keeping an open mind and starting each day with a blank slate and really challenging yourself and listening to other people who are challenging you as well. So don't just look for confirming evidence. Okay guys, so that is it. There's one little share I've been looking at lately, and it almost goes against everything I say, and I don't even know how to pronounce the actual name of it. I call it Kicker, but the code is KYK, and I just want you to have a look at it, and if you want to put a comment in the comments, go for it. I'll be interested to hear other people's thoughts on this little business, and but I won't say any more than that. No worries, I'll catch you guys soon.